They can never hold the line. He shouldn't watch the score, but it's too late. You start to break from. Hey guys, I'm going to be doing a little review today of the Dyke's taxidermy kit. This is a antler kit for a small, let's see here, for a small deer. They got for large deer and elk too. So I was out hunting a few weeks ago with my bow and had a little 4-point come across, so I took care of the skull here and been letting it sit in some borax for a few days. So it's pretty much all dried out at this point. Couple interesting little points here. So anyway, the kit includes some mounting hardware. It's got a little form here for the skull to mount the antlers to. Pretty much like that. It's got a nice little oak plaque here, if you can kind of see that, for this to mount onto. And it's got some sodium carbonate to boil the water and kind of get all the gristle and everything off the skull. But I pretty much did it, all with a razor and picking it off already, so I'm going to save that. Some little mache here. I have to fill in the cracks that, if you can see it, that you're going to have, like right in this area and on the sides. And a little adhesive and some leather here that's going to get pulled nice and tight and wrapped right around that form of the skull. And of course the instructions. So this should be an interesting little project, and we'll do a little step by step, and I'll give you a little highlight of each step as I go through. Step one for the Dyke's taxidermy kit was basically to boil the base of the skull. And I told you guys I didn't do that, I just let it soak in some borax. So step two, it calls for 3/16 of an inch hole drilled pretty much where I put those two black dots, right there and right there. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to drill those two holes. Ways you might refine, I never wanted more, but it's too late. You start to break from me. But wait, aim, she stayed so fortified. Alright, there we go. Alright, part of the step two is right before you drill that down, you need to make sure that the skull here fits the skull mount. So anything that's too high over this area, you'd have to kind of sand it down. So the bridge right here is just a little high, so I'm going to go and take a file the tip of that down just a little bit, and then move on to step three, which is the paper mache. I never thought of more, but it's her fate. She had to break from daily patterns, regulate. Don't know how to do more, but it's too late. You start to break from me. Never mind that I wait too long to hold. Something real in my struggle. Is it wrong to look for much more, or become take control? Something real in my struggle. Kind of hard for you to tell, but that's actually perfect right now. So reading through the instructions here, it's telling me that I've got two 2.5-inch wood screws, two 1.5-inch wood screws, and one sawtooth hanger nail. So I've got 9 screws here.
None of them are self-tapping, which in step 2 they tell you they are. And I read ahead, and step 10 is when I gotta fasten it through the back, and it just says use the screws in the kit. So it doesn't really tell you clearly what screws you need to be using, and it definitely doesn't even give you the exact items that it says there are in the instructions. If you look real close at this step right here, it shows a way of fastening it to the wall with a sawtooth hanger, and that doesn't even come in this kit. You get one of these right here. So but no big deal. It's, you know, you can make it work. So the next step for me, I'm going to go ahead and use the smaller screws here, because the bigger one's obviously going to have to go through that oak panel in the back to fasten the mount to the plaque. So we'll set everything else aside, and we'll go ahead and we'll screw these down. Oh, a little too far on that one. Alright, so those just barely went through, so that's actually a nice solid fit on there right now. Looks good on the side, looks good in the front, looks pretty good. Alright, move on to the next step. The next step was to take 1 ounce of water, 30 mLs, and mix it with the entire bag of the paper mache, and then basically just fill all the cracks, all the contours around the entire thing, so it's nice and smooth. This part, I guess, is takes the most imagination or creativity, but we'll see how it goes. Alright guys, I had to run up real quick and change this around. They couldn't have been more wrong with this. They said 1 ounce of water, and I put 2 in to get to this consistency, so I don't know what the hell they were talking about. It wasn't even close with 1 ml. Alright, so basically that's it. I'll do some more touch-up work. I won't put you guys through all that, but that's sort of what it's going to look like. We'll have to let it dry. Alright, so I'm at the point now where I gotta screw this hanger to the back. To find the center, I just measured between this point and this point right here. Kind of hard to tell. Between these 2 points. So it's 8 inches. I measured over 4, and then I measured from the base to the top. And when they intersect was my line right down the middle. And then I just marked a couple lines in there to make sure I was right on. So this should be pretty much center when I go to hang it. So go ahead and I'll do that now. Tight enough. I went upstairs and tried it after I just had that 2 in there real light, and hangs perfect.